This, well, doesn't matter. I'm glad I'm wearing this because my hair's kind of messed up. So it's always kind of messed up, but.
Well, I have curly hair. When you have curly hair, your hair's just always kind of messed up. That's the look.
Is it naturally?
Yeah. Super.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey everyone, Casey here. Welcome to In Session with Casey Arbenz, a new podcast where we dive deep into the heart of the legal system. Along with my co-host, Reese, Ellis, and an incredible lineup of guests, we'll tackle everything from personal injury to criminal defense. Together, we'll explore culturally relevant issues, revisit landmark cases, and share the real stories behind the verdicts, the people impacted by the law, and those fighting to bring them to justice.
Welcome back to In Session with Casey Arbenz. My name is Reese Ellis. Casey Arbenz here.
Glad to be here.
We're going to be talking about stereotypes about attorneys and lawyers and all of that this week.
There's plenty of those.
I'm really excited. I had fun. And I'm excited because you're always like, you can't offend me.
Yeah.
So let's get into it.
Yeah.
First off, which stereotypes are you aware of? Like, you don't have to name all of them. Like,
sure.
A couple.
Oh, gosh. Well, I mean, there's the obvious, like TV, lawyers, criminal defense attorneys, sort of the slime ball. Mm-hmm. And then there's and I think some people would say, there's the movie and then show, previously a book, great book, Lincoln Lawyer. And so.
Wait, I don't know.
Yeah, so Lincoln Lawyer was a book by a guy named Michael Connolly, and it chronicles an LA defense attorney. Okay. And his ethics are a little shaky.
I see.
And then they made a movie about it. It's Matthew McConaughey. And so he's
how
great.
have I not heard of this?
You got to watch it. It's a great movie. And he's like the perfect person for the role. So it's actually a really good movie. It's weird because some lawyers are very offended by it. I thought it was awesome. I was like, this kind of makes us look cool. So I liked it.
Matthew McConaughey is playing this in a movie.
Yeah. That's funny. So that was cool. And then they made a TV show about it. But so there's that stereotype. And then there's the uptight corporate lawyer. That's a real thing for sure. I've certainly dealt with those guys, folks, women. And then there's, the vicious out for blood prosecutor type of person. Is kind of cold-blooded and believes that they're they've got the moral high ground and they treat us attorneys like scumbags. So those are a couple. And then there's the family law lawyers who or the ones who work with kids who are touchy-feely, really warm, loving types that, there's a lot of my knowledge of stereotypes, at least, is from books and movies. And I'm a big John Grisham fan. And so I've read most of John Grisham's books, all of his early books. And so there was Reggie Love in The Client, who was the kind of quintessential lawyer who would represent kids, tough, but an empath and very kind.
The social worker type?
Yeah, exactly. Social worker type. That's a good way of putting it. I think at the end of the day, and I understand this, everybody hates lawyers.
Until you need one.
Until you need one. And just like you hate doctors until you need one, and you still might hate them. There's a lot of, we're all kind of realizing in our world that so much of the services are driven by profit, and you oftentimes just feel like a number. And I think a lot of people think that when you go to a lawyer's office, they're just seeing dollar signs and they're just gonna fleece you. And so, there's plenty of stereotypes. Plenty of them are true. Not, it's like everything else. It's sort of true. There's the extreme examples, but there's also a ton of lawyers in the world. Of course. And most of them have families and normal lives and are normal people in many ways. And so their career is just one hat they wear. So. Okay.
So I have set up 3 ways that you can answer my questions for this. And then obviously you'll explain.
Which means I'll probably have 5 answers.
Reaction.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a stereotype and I want you to tell me if you think it's true.
Yeah.
True-ish. Yeah. Or false.
Okay.
So what about defense attorneys? The biggest stereotype I saw in my research was that defense attorneys scare clients into hiring them because the stakes are so high.
Yeah. I have seen lawyers that do that. I don't think anybody here in my office does that. Nobody in my old office did that. It's a little too low hanging fruit. I think the clients, they know, and usually they want to know, right? Like, it's like if you had a lump on your foot or something, you'd be like, doc, what's the worst case scenario here? So I know what you're talking about. There are some lawyers who like, you could get a life sentence, that's pretty corny. I think any client that I would want would sniff that out pretty quick.
Yeah.
So that is probably something that's been embellished maybe by a movie or TV show where a lawyer is desperate for fees, desperate for clients, and is like taking the most bottom feedery approach to scaring someone into hiring them.
We talked about one time, I think on the second episode when we focused most on personal injury law, about a case you took for a guy that was hit by a city bus.
Yeah.
And something that you said was that your client really appreciated you because where a lot of lawyers might have just said, this guy doesn't have a lot of money. $60,000 is a lot of money to this guy. Yeah. And a lot of lawyers would have been like, easy, done, whatever. Yeah. But you said, it's my professional opinion that I think you can get more. Yeah. And then you said that you did that because you truly believed he was wronged and you really thought that you could get him more, blah, blah.
Right.
But then I think you said something like there's some personal injury attorneys, not good ones, that might be thinking about their next watch or boat. And so they might be more inclined to say, no, I get 30%, I get 20, whatever. Let's keep asking for more money. Right. Which, if you listened to the last episode, is all about ethics. That seems extremely unethical to me.
Yeah. So for me, those things exist. There are some lawyers who are afraid or they just want an easy money grab. Mm-hmm. And so they will, because clients, not all clients, some clients are very malleable. You can convince them of anything, right? Like you could say, ooh, $100,000, that's amazing settlement. Yeah. You should take it. You'll never get any more. And if you have to look internally, if your motive is because you just want to get $33,000, like that's shitty. That's wrong. That's unethical. There are some lawyers that would do that. And there's like high volume practices, right? Like the stereotypical billboard lawyer who just wants to churn 10,000 clients a year and make $25,000 or $33,000 in fees on as many of those clients as possible without actually doing any work or really looking into a particular case. Like that would be very unethical to me. Right. But I think there are lawyers that do that. A lawyer who's a personal injury lawyer who's motivated by money to get more for the client, whether it's because he or she wants to buy a boat or a watch, like if it's serving the client's interests, I suppose that's not necessarily a problem, right? Like if they're saying, look, I think this is $1 million case and I can buy a new yacht with my percentage of that. Okay. I think there's a difference between thinking, what could I do with this money? Right. Because that's normal. You have to have money to live and survive, whatever, and thrive. The more money you have, the better. The quandary is, okay, like let's say the defense is offered $900,000, but you really need $333,000 to buy that boat. And by seeking $1 million fee, you're putting the client's case in jeopardy. Yeah. Like that's where it becomes a problem. Right. So, and every lawyer's gonna have a different opinion on a case value. But I think the good ones do sort of know generally what a case is worth. And so, I think it's a really fair question. I don't think you'll meet too many personal injury lawyers who aren't motivated by the concept of success. The good ones would say, the more successful my clients are, the more successful I am, the more I can grow and help more clients. Like I think that's the proper organic approach to revenue or to money. But like anytime you're facing a windfall of cash, like you're going to have thoughts about, oh my gosh, of course. I could that's buy this, human. I could pay off my house, like those are normal thoughts. But to me, of all the things we're talking about, the only way that I think you can sleep at night is if you're giving your client honest advice based on their interests before yours. And so that's saying, look, I do not want you to settle for 500,000 because I fundamentally believe we're going to get to $1 million. Now, if they say, look, Casey, appreciate it. Yeah. I need the money now. Like, okay. Are you sure? Right. Because once we sign it, it's over and that's all you're going to get. I appreciate it. I hear what you're saying. I believe I could get more. And in those situations, oftentimes have the client sign something that says, my lawyer told me we could probably get more.
Yeah, it's like when you check out of the hospital against medical
Exactly,
advice.
Right. So for some people, their life circumstance requires them to take less. And really my guiding principle is I will do what the client really wants to do.
Of course.
Now, I'll give them my thoughts, but again, I'm trying to put their interests above mine. And
justice.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, yes, but justice, when you're a lawyer representing a client, is the best outcome for them.
Okay.
Right. So it's not the best outcome for the world.
Right.
It's the best outcome for your client.
Yeah.
Because again, like we talked about in the last episode, your case, you have an opponent and they have a client and they're fighting for their client. And then you have a judge or a jury or a mediator whose job is to try to find a solution or put the case in the hands of the jury. Like those people, we all contribute, I think, to what amounts to the justice system. I want a just verdict for my client or a just outcome for my client. I'm not necessarily looking for justice in everything else. Yeah. Usually. So, but yeah, no, if you put your faith in believing that if you do right by your clients, that you're going to, whether it's karma or just good mojo. I have found that when I do volunteer work or I take on a tough pro bono case or I fight for the little person, somehow the universe corrects the lack of money I might have made in that scenario and rewards me in other ways. And so if you do right, you're going to do well. If you do wrong, you're going to do poorly. Eventually it'll catch up with you.
Okay. So what about arrogance?
There's plenty of that. Yeah. I mean, you can't be a good trial lawyer without an ego, I don't think.
I was just going to say, this one is interesting because I think it's the only one I wrote down where I was like...
This is Casey.
No.
It's okay. You can say it.
I did not think that. I thought usually negative stereotypes are not going to help you, right? You have to fight against those. Right. Arrogance in a lawyer specifically could be something that you're like, this guy seems like an arrogant prick and I'm not hiring him and whatever.
Yep.
So that's true.
Yep.
Or you could be like, oh my God, his ego is huge and he knows what he's doing. Yeah. And that's probably someone I want to fight for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I am rarely an asshole, but it's weird because sometimes my clients push me to the limit of assholeness. And it's weird how much happier they sometimes are because they are like, I wanted my lawyer to be an asshole and he's got it. He's capable. Now that's very infrequent, 1 out of 100 or 1 out of 1,000 cases. And I'm rarely an asshole to opposing counsel unless I feel like it's warranted because they're pushing things that are wrong. So yeah, I mean, arrogance, assholeness, ego, all of those things, they certainly exist. Trial lawyers, to me, the best trial lawyers are actually very humble in many ways, because they have to know humility to ever convince a jury to do what they want. You can't bulldoze a jury. And if you can, that's more, I think, a weakness of your opponent than a strength of yours. Because when I've had cases where I have a super alpha opposing counsel, I know how they're perceived by the jury. And so I go into a mode, like I told you, this is acting. I go into I'm the good guy. I'm the honest guy. I'm the victim of this arrogant, pushy alpha attorney. And my client in the case is the victim of this person and their attitude. So the best trial lawyers I know, like true trial lawyers, they have an ego. For sure. Right. Without question. but they know humility and they know what sells, and that's something that's hard to fake if you don't, at least
humility.
Yeah, if you don't have it, if you don't know how to do it in certain aspects of your life, you're not going to be able to pull that way out in a trial or in a stressful situation. Like stress brings out the worst in people oftentimes. And to me, like the best trial lawyers I know are actually some of the nicest people interpersonally. And the insecure ones talk about all their successes and how great they are, how much money they make and all that.
I think they call that projecting.
The confident, really great ones who still have a big ego, still believe they can take on any case and win any case. They're actually super considerate and humble about their success.
That's interesting. So, I have always said that about intelligence with people, is that my favorite type of person is a person who is really smart and challenges, thought-provoking, blah, blah. But if you met them at a bar, you'd be like, they are so much fun. And do I think that they're the smartest person in the room? I don't even know because we're just having fun.
Yeah, right.
I cannot stand it when people tell you how smart they are. Yeah. That is just a personal, like, ugh.
Yeah. Jurors don't like it either.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
But that's, I think you raise a good point. And it's like you say, it's projecting and it's insecurity. And that's not an attractive trait really in anybody.
Yeah.
So,
well, and there's a difference between arrogance and confidence.
Totally. I mean, confidence is just truly knowing, not even necessarily intellectually, just your core, you know that you're capable of handling a particular task. Yeah. And that's a good thing. Right? Of course. Confidence is a good thing.
I would not want to hire a lawyer that I did not feel was confident in representing me. Right. Never.
And it's an attractive trait, not I'm talking about like, at a bar. I'm talking about in people that you want to be around. People who are confident, they make you feel safe and they make you feel inspired. Of course. They make you feel good because they're not chipping away at your confidence for their own. People who are insecure or petty or lacking confidence are the ones that tear down others. Yeah. And so, like I say, most of my favorite trialers, I'm talking about the top ones, right? Like the true winners are confident, they have egos, but they're also extremely humble and have no interest in putting other people down. Yeah. They might have an asshole switch, like most good lawyers do. Mm-hmm. I actually struggle with that. I wish I was better at it because I know that I'm actually not at my best when I'm pissed off. And in fact, I had a trial earlier this year in the spring where my client, it was just extremely difficult. She made everything difficult and fought me on everything. And I finally told her, I said, she questioned everything I did, right? Every question I asked, everything. I finally told her, I said, look, your passive aggressive sort of hostile attitude towards me is pissing me off and it's hurting my confidence. And I'm not going to win this case if you keep it up. However, if you tell me that I'm doing a good job for you and that you appreciate my hard work, even if you're just lying to me, like you're going to get a better version of me. And so I really do try to take 10 deep breaths when I start to get pissed off in trial because I know my mind, it's like microwave popcorn at a minute. Like it starts popping and I can't focus and remain on stage like I want to be. Right. And so, I don't know, that's a long answer to your question, but I think it's a complicated, nuanced thing, trying to be persuasive, but all of those character traits are true. Now, other lawyers, I think I remember this from law school. Like there were a lot of insecure people in law school. A lot of them really wanted to prove to the world how smart they were. Sure. And,
how old are you usually if you go into law school right after?
There are a lot of people there who sat in the front row and really wanted everybody to know that they went to Harvard or they went to Stanford. Or they're really smart.
And their frontal lobe is not developed yet.
I know. So, but they're, and like the guys would hit on girls at the bar by wearing a Gonzaga law shirt, like, oh, I'm going to be a lawyer. Like you should think I'm sexy. And a lot of the women were, have their own insecurities. And I just remember being like, gosh, this is going into an interesting profession. And while there's a million great ones and had a lot of great friends in law school, there were there's plenty now that I see as lawyers, and they're still just as insecure, and they project, and they're passive aggressive and trying to brag about how good they are, how successful they are, and all that. So yeah,
I feel like you could be an arrogant lawyer and not be an arrogant person in your personal life.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, you could be an arrogant baseball player and be good and kind when you're at home with your family. Arrogance, I think we probably agree on the definition, is like a bad form of confidence, right? And but in a certain moment, a touch of arrogance
can help sometimes.
Can be persuasive, right? But I would say arrogant, narcissistic types are generally repellent.
So true, trueish, false?
So lawyers are arrogant? Trueish.
Yeah. Okay, ambulance chasers. I hadn't heard this exact term until I looked it up, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense, because on my drive here from Seattle to Tacoma, I'm on the I-5, and I could tell you I passed the Puget Law Group.
I was going to say, how many of them there are? So.
I think just one, but I pass a ton. And now that I work with you guys, everywhere I go, it's just like, oh my God, they're everywhere.
Yeah, totally. It's way worse in Miami or Vegas or
in Atlanta, where I'm from.
Atlanta, totally.
Even like someone I was talking to on your marketing team here, he was like, oh, you're from Atlanta, so you know what I'm talking about. And I was like, oh yeah.
Well, Alex Shinara, his billboard is like, if you're from Alabama, everybody knows Alex Shinara because he basically owns every billboard in the entire state.
If you're driving from Atlanta to Florida, the billboards on it's crazy. And it's funny because I knew that was a thing. Yeah. I never really considered. So the stereotype I saw was ambulance chasers, which suggest predatory solicitation.
Sure. Yeah.
I never really thought of those billboards as predatory, just off the rip. I could be wrong.
I think I agree with you. Yeah.
I think that because I was talking to my mom doing remote work for you guys, and I was like, she's like, oh, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, just making a social media post about the 3 things you should do once you've been in a car accident.
Right.
And she was like, it's so funny that you have to promote that. Like, don't you think that's, she's like, she didn't even say, don't you think? She said, I've always thought that was weird.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I really don't. Because if you got into a car accident, you should, and you're hurt, like you should know who to call. And you should know that there's someone who could potentially help you. If you're injured and you don't have a ton of money and you got screwed over by someone, like, to me, I don't feel like that's predatory.
Right. Yeah. I think it's, like it's getting back to what we talked about in the last episode about being people liking to being judgmental, liking to judge others. It's easy to say these ambulance chasing lawyers, and there's plenty of them that give us a bad name, right? They've got really stupid commercials and they're all about money. But at the end of the day, it's like what you're saying is like, well, those of us who do that kind of law, like we're doing it because it's the insurance companies that are going to screw you if you don't get a good lawyer in your corner. And so what we're trying to do is market our services just like every other industry markets itself. There are way more things that I consider to be very potentially unethical or ambulance chasery, which is actually going to hospitals. And that's a thing.
That seems like predatory solicitation.
Yeah. So like,
you're laying in a hospital
you
bed.
go in there in a suit and some dude knocks on your door and says, hey, oh my gosh, how'd you break your leg? Oh gosh, I handle car wrecks.
Are they legally allowed to do that?
Not supposed to, but it definitely happens. There's people who download all the police reports every day, and then you're not supposed to. You're actually ethically, we're not allowed to solicit clients like directly, but they'll figure out their address and from a police report, and then start sending them mailers that say, hey, are you injured in a car accident? Give me a call. And I'm quite sure that there are some that actually like find a way to like talk to you at your house or at your work. And so, anything where there's a lot of money at stake, people will do things they shouldn't do. So that's the reputation, I think, that a lot of plaintiffs' lawyers have. And it's funny because like the insurance defense lawyers are seen as these very knowing, thoughtful, good corporate, well-dressed, high-rise lawyers who are nothing but of the finest ethics and background. And it's like, well, they're representing an insurance company who really doesn't give a shit about helping people. Their whole thing is, how can we make as much money for our shareholders every year as possible?
You think that people perceive corporate lawyers as good people?
Yeah, more than they do plaintiffs lawyers, criminal lawyers.
I don't think so.
Really? Yeah, maybe in Seattle.
I would need to do
Atlanta's different.
The research to back myself up.
Sure.
In my anecdotal experience, corporate lawyers, do people perceive people who are protecting corporations as great stand-up people? I don't know.
Yeah, I would venture to guess that if you did a study, more people would say that they're more likely like good, honest, hardworking people than criminal defense or personal injury lawyers. That's just my guess.
Maybe if you put it like that, like who do you think is more, then maybe.
Yeah.
And I also wonder if that's something that may be changing, because I do think people question large corporations
more than ever,
more than they used to.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're definitely seeing that in the last 10 years, and then really like the last 5 years. You're seeing it kind of on both sides of the political aisle in new ways. Like the right is very anti-pharmaceutical companies, right? Big pharma, which used to be the left, may still be the left also. And that was a problem for like, there's what we call the mass tort lawyers, who are lawyers who take on class action cases against big drug companies.
Okay.
And their worst jurors were like stiff corporate white males, right? Because they're like going to side on big business or whatever. And now, though, with that kind of changing dynamic where people are starting to go, gosh, like, should we, like, billions of dollars, these huge companies that produce these drugs, many of which do amazing things, but they also are giving kickbacks to doctors to prescribe these things.
Well, it's like the Sackler family, wasn't that?
Yeah. Oh,
isn't that that's the opioid crisis? Yeah.
Like the perfect example.
Yeah, that was a class action, or there might have been multiple, but I know there was at least one huge.
Or a ton, and there was a big civil payout from DOJ. So like people are, more and more kind of questioning big business than maybe they have in the past. But I still think if you ask the average person, like, who would you rather have as a neighbor, a corporate lawyer or a ambulance chaser or a criminal defense scumbag, they'd probably say, I'll take the corporate lawyer. Yeah. That's my guess. I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah. I would be a really interesting man on the street with a microphone question.
And I could go either way too, because I'm like, well, it's going to come down to the person,
Of course.
Because there's a lot of great plaintiffs lawyers and criminal lawyers, and there's a lot of ones I wouldn't associate.
But like my knee-jerk reaction, and now I'm even questioning what I would say. Like if someone came up to me on the street, I don't know what I would say. Well,
if you met a group of people at a bar and they were let's just say it was a table of men or women or both that were corporate lawyers. They're dressed nice.
Yeah,
they speak
boring.
well.
I want to talk to the and then people who are in the courtroom. Yeah. And I don't even know if I would go into the good versus bad person as much as I'd be like, I want to talk to you more than I don't really care about you.
Sure. Well, I agree with that. Yeah. Corporate law. I mean, if I were looking for something to help me go to sleep, I would ask a corporate lawyer about their day.
Or contracts.
Not right. Yeah, exactly. And that is not exciting to me, but I absolutely respect that.
Of course, we need people to do that. I tried. Yeah, no, we need people to do that. I'm not saying it's not a valuable profession. If I was saying, which table should I sit at?
Yeah.
I personally would be like, I can't talk about corporate law. I don't want to.
But maybe that's different than who your neighbor is.
Right, of course. So, everybody's different. Yeah. Okay. So when you bring people on at Puget Law Group, do you guys consider these types of behaviors and stereotypes when saying, do I think this person would be a good fit at the firm?
Yeah, we totally do. And, my firm has had all sorts of ups and downs over the years. And we've been desperate at times to hire somebody and have made compromises. I'd be the first to admit it on some of those things. Luckily now I think we're at a stage finally after a few years where we only hire who we really want. We're willing to wait to get a really great person, really great candidate. So, but yes, to answer your question. So like part of our process is working with law schools and getting interns to come work for us as summer interns while they're still in law school. And then if they're good, like if we like them, right? Like first and foremost, you got to like them.
Of course.
Right? You care about them. They're fun. They're good to be around. They're hard workers. Second, do they kind of look and act the part? And that's less about what I might want, but it's more about what our clients want to see in their lawyer. Because if you don't wear a nice outfit, if you don't appear to cut your hair and comb your hair and brush or wash your hair, if you got dandruff, your suit's always wrinkled, like your client is not going to have any faith in you. And I've known brilliant lawyers who just look like schlubs.
That's so interesting.
And their clients hate them because they're like, even if this person is brilliant, like no juror is going to respect that person. They're going to judge me guilty right out of the gate.
I'm a PR person.
Yeah.
You have to look. People do judge on looks. The best, the nicest people. It's a human thing.
Yep.
The first thing you notice about someone is what they look like when you see them.
Yep.
And if you don't look the part, that you're going to have to work extremely hard to overcome that first innate thing with your clients.
Yep. And so how they look, how they talk, how they act, the slang they use, do people have the ability to speak professionally in a certain environment and then, speak differently in a casual environment without crossing over too much, right? I have seen a lot of very good lawyers, but who struggle with how to talk to a judge or how to talk to a jury because all of a sudden they start saying things and words that that's not, it's just not really what is going to be persuasive or useful or professional. And so, so when we're evaluating our interns or we're looking for another lawyer, in fact, today I was up in Seattle and I was in court and the prosecutor was this very buttoned up, just dude had some confidence. Like I liked his style. He came up to me, shook my hand, looked me in the eye, had a nice suit on, good haircut, looked like someone who could walk and chew gum. And I was going, that's the type of person that we would want. And so oftentimes if we need somebody, that's what I'll do. I'll go to court and I'll start scouring the courtrooms, looking for people who look the part and appear to sort of act the part, have a humility about them, have a confidence about them that I think my clients would be attracted to and that would likely be persuasive in court. And so, I think not looking like we used to call them ham and eggers, just like a rumpled, just got out of bed slob. Yeah, unfortunately, like I say, there's a million great lawyers who don't have any fashion sense, but they just don't really work for us because our clients are going, what did I pay you for? What did I hire you for when I could have hired that?
Yeah, if you can't do this, which isn't even necessarily
it's
a
not
fair.
fair.
But that's how people think. Yeah.
So, yes, I think it's really important to scrutinize the people you hire for all of those things and to avoid stereotypes.
Yeah.
Right? And if someone talks about money too much in an interview, then I'm not interested. If they talk about, at the same time, if they talk too much about public service, I might be like, you may not work here because we are a for-profit company. And it's
not a public defender.
Yeah, exactly. So if that's where your heart is, God bless you. You're probably a better person than me, but you're not going to be a good fit in my firm. Yeah. I need people who have some drive and some ego and some goals. So
sure. A little bit of variance.
Yeah. It's definitely something that needs to be there.
Do you feel like there was any major stereotypes that I missed?
The other one that's true, and I like it, is like plaintiffs' lawyers are sort of seen as cowboys in a likable way, that they're kind of freewheeling and
like the wild west.
Wild West, yeah. Like I like that. I think that's kind of accurate, especially in the South, like where you're from. I love the trial lawyers in the South. They are some of my favorite people. They are fun. Most of them.
Southerners are fun. Let me tell you, Southerners are fun.
They're way more fun than Northwestern.
I think where the weather is warmer and the sun shines more often, typically, people culturally speaking, a lot of times people are more fun.
There's my wife calls it the Seattle freeze.
Of course, I've heard about that.
It's true. Like we dress in neutral colors all the time. We wear Patagonia jackets and jeans. We don't dress up like people do in the South.
differently.
We don't smile at strangers. We don't get into small conversations.
People don't. It's not even that people don't talk to strangers, because I talk a lot. I know this about myself. Maybe it's a Southern thing. Maybe it's family. Who knows? I talk a lot. And my friends have always made fun of me because I can get into a conversation with the person at the gas station, and all of a sudden they're telling me about how they adopted their dog with one eye, and I'm just like, oh my God, you're so right. I expected people to not really do that with me here, but people don't like make eye contact with you.
They just look down.
It's weird. And I have started doing it. I've caught myself even here where I'm like,
because you feel uncool because you're the one who's like kind of making the effort, and then they kind of, refuse your effort, and you just feel stupid. So then you go, well, I'm not putting myself out anymore.
Yeah. My mom does this thing where when she's walking around her neighborhood, she's like, how many people, I'm going to say hi to all my neighbors. Yeah. And she's like, it's kind of funny to see people get uncomfortable. Yeah. Now my mom's like past the point of caring, what, know? Sure. But it's just funny. It is culturally different there for sure. But I could see the attorneys there being different than the attorneys
they're the best. They're fun. Most of them will drink some beers with you, tell you all sorts of stories. Just great families. They got it all going, and they're welcoming, and they're open with their successes and their failures. I've never had so many people call me brother, which like sometimes up here, sometimes it feels a little insincere, but down there, I feel like people mean it. They're like, like, hey brother, so good to see you. It's like, oh, thank you. Like, because I've lived up here so long, there is a moment where I'm a little bit uncomfortable with that intimacy of just like someone I just met or just getting to know. And I walk away though going, man, they're such good, warm people. And I miss that.
And even if they're not, like I've had people say this to me all the time who are not from the South. They're like, oh, people in the South are just fake nice and blah, blah, blah. I'd rather have someone be nice to my face. Yeah. Or I'd rather have someone be authentic to my face than like nice to my face. I'm like, okay, maybe. Yeah. But also, I don't really care if you like me that much. Politeness. Yeah. And it is funny.
Goes a long way.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I've always said, like, when I go home and someone calls me sweetie at the grocery store in a nice, genuine way. Sure. Someone here was like saying that to me to like take me down a notch. Yeah. That would make me very upset. For sure. Yeah. Condescending. But when the lady at the grocery store hands you your receipt and says, "Have a great day, sweetie," I'm like, "Oh my God, that's so nice. I miss that."
Yeah, I agree, and I think maybe why it's hit me so hard is that it reminds me of the types of traits that are appealing to jurors, and I can see why some of these Southern folks, men and women, who have that way about them, when they're in trial, they win these huge verdicts, and I go, that's something that's missing in the Northwest. And I am going to try to steal as much of that as possible because I know how they make me feel. Yeah. They can make me feel good and welcome. I want to make jurors.
Are most of the attorneys here from the Northwest?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too.
I'd say 90% of them went to Seattle U or UW. Some, like me, went to Gonzaga, but they're still from Washington. So yeah, I'd say, I guarantee that 90% of the lawyers in Washington went to law school here.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, that wraps up what I have.
Oh, cool. Well,
and the lights and the rest of the law firm just shut off. So maybe they're like, we got to go.
Yeah. Yeah. But I like the new set. I think that you did a nice job here. And
thank you.
It's cool that we're filming, and it's cool that we've got, luckily PLG has a very beautiful office. And so we can do this.
We have these nice skylights above us that not right now, but at some point the light comes in.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, like and subscribe, follow us along for more, and we'll see you guys next time.
Take care.